TRN recently released a few new IEMs, among them the ST7. I have not seen any English speaking reviews on YouTube, so I thought I'm gonna make one. I also got the new Medusa, so that one is coming too in the near future. But yeah, let's start with the review of the TRN ST7. Build quality seems fine on the ST7. Finally something different to all the KZ, KVEs and whatnot IMs. On the inside the shell is see-through and ergonomically shaped with this little hook here for better and more secure fit. On the outside you have a very smooth and glassy feeling backplate with the TRN logo, I think it is. All of this is made from some resin, which makes it really light, but it also feels noticeably better made than other budget IMs and seems really sturdy. There's a line you can feel between the back plate and the front plate. So I hope it's not just some glue between there that makes the back plate fall off after a year or so. But yeah, let's just not expect that. Cable is okay, better than the ones KZ uses, and it looks a bit flimsy, I give it that, but it actually feels quite good. It surprisingly does not tangle up as much as you would expect from the cable that looks that way. Ear tips, you get the typical silicone ones, except from the signature TN ear tips you always get with their IMs, which are the ones that you can see here right now. And I really like these. They are kind of sticky, but work really well. Yeah, but more of that in the comfort section. Regarding comfort, well, even though these are pretty light, they are a bit on the chunkier side. I do not feel any discomfort wearing them, but if they would just be a little bit bigger, then I think I would. After a while, so like maybe 2 hours, I do need a little break here. The little hook they have that gives them this kind of ergonomic ear shape works quite well, and the overall fit is really secure and pretty nice because you do not have to adjust anything. And especially with these TRN ear tips, it's really easy to get a good seal. The ear tips again are a bit sticky, but I guess that what makes them fit better than your normal silicone stuff. And yeah, TRN puts these even in their cheaper IMs, which is pretty great, I think. Cable also does not drag, and at least for my ears, the hooks stabilize the fitment quite well. So all in all, good comfort, but maybe not for the smallest ears. So sound-wise, TRN shows a different tuning for the ST7. It's more balanced with a focus on mid-range and smoothness. The ST7 has 7 drivers in each side, 2 dynamic ones and 5 balanced armatures, which is a lot of drivers for this price range, like around 40 euro. I actually quite liked tuning here, even though it's a bit different than a lot of the other IEMs that were released recently. And trust me, if you look at the frequency response graph of the ST7, it looks stranger than it sounds in reality. I mean, graphs are important, of course, but they are not everything. But as always, let's first start with the bass here. Bass is mildly emphasized, but what's special here is that it's more of a thick and warm bass than an especially punchy or visceral one. So with that, the bass here is kind of soft, but in a good way, because it offers a more relaxed listening experience and a lot of fullness, and it's actually not bloated or something, it's just really smoothed out. Obviously, again, that means bass is really not the most impactful. If you like a strong and physical bass with lots of depth and rumble there, the ST7 is not really for you. Listening to these, it really seems to me that the bass response here is all about smoothness and warmth. Bass is still not boomy or of bad quality. It still nicely separates the different bass lines and instruments. It's pretty fast and has no issues keeping up with double bass attacks, for example. Midrange is the big focus of the ST7, and I do think it does that quite well. Guitars and vocals are put more into the foreground, sound full, and while they still have nice attack and clarity, they are never really shouty or harsh. They push the upper midrange just right, so even with keeping the overall relaxed sound profile, you get a lot of vocal and instrumental presence there that just never goes over the edge. After I went through a lot of more sharp and clear sound signatures, I do like the change here, and I really like listening to an IM that has a lot of body to the instruments without sounding dark, and an IM that actually does mid-range well, at least for my ears. I do also think that the quality of the mid-range regarding detail, separation and stuff is very good, because while it's more warm than other IMs, it's not really muddy so that you would lose detail here. It's just kind of smoothed over and you have to listen a bit more, but it's there, like it's pretty resolving there, I would say. Having such smooth and real sounding vocals and electronic guitars while not losing something there and without the sound brushing over small things is actually really nice to hear. The treble is also well balanced. The ST7 tries to deliver enough clarity and still keep that kind of laid back sound. And yeah, while I would say the ST7 is certainly not a bright IEM, the treble has enough clarity to keep any dullness out of your music. I do think it's not the most airy IM. There is a dip in the lower treble somewhere, which at least for me is nice because it takes that edge and metallic sound out of your music. But again, it smooths out the sound here somewhat. And back to the not being very airy, you just do not really have this really shimmery sound with these ethereal female vocals and that clarity focused sound, which does not bother me, but if it does bother you, then you may look somewhere else here. On all, the ST7 does deliver a pretty natural sound with the treble. Cymbals or hi-hats, for example, have a nice and sharp attack with a lot of fading sizzle. The soundstage is not that big and the ST7 just does not sound very open. It has more of an intimate sound, which works well with the more warm and mid-range focused sound profile. Imaging was really good with both music and games. For example, in games I could easily pinpoint gunshots and footsteps, but I'm just a noob so I died anyway. With music, it was also really good, and I did not expect the ST7 to fare that well with its more warm sound signature, which can easily cover up stuff sometimes. I guess the 5 balanced armatures on each side have to be good for something here. So in conclusion, man, I really like the ST7. It's different from all the recent releases that either focused on clarity and tight bass or being a V-shaped IEM with lots of bass and somewhat recessed mids. The ST7 has a really nice, warm, natural and still detailed sound that is really pleasant to listen to and just never gets fatiguing for me. It's not really for bass lovers and listeners who focus on having that crystal clear sound, but it really stands in its own niche and holds up really well in our highly competitive IEM world. So that's it for this review. I hope you liked it and I could be of some help here. So yeah, see you next time. Goodbye.